take some paper and draw the simple shape of a revolver, or whatever really shape you want. The handle here is a little too big, so I'm going to cut that down later in the tutorial, and the barrel is too short because the paper was too short, so I'm going to extend that also in the video. I didn't cut that out yet, but what I just looked at and pointed at are going to be cut off. The space around the hammer, the inside of the cylinder, and the trigger guard will be cut off. The design in there is just for design. The trigger guard and everything will be cut off because they're going to be made out of foam, but they're going to be stuck on later. So cut those off now just to make the base, and the cylinder will be made out of a PVC pipe. So just cut it all out now, make the base, and then fill it. Now that you've placed it on your Ava foam and cut out the barrel, the hammer, and the trigger guard, next you're going to need to leave a little space by the barrel. Excuse me, I said barrel before, I meant cylinder. Leave it by the barrel so you can extend it, and then cut off the handle. So cut out the cylinder, cut off the hammer, cut off the trigger guard, leave room for the barrel, and cut off the handle. Now that you have traced two of them, or however thick you want it, onto your Ava foam, and you made the barrels extended and everything is where it should be, use an X-Acto knife or a box cutter to carefully cut around the edges, and just cut around the edges like so, just back and forth. Nice and easy, make a clean cut if you can. And whenever you cut these out, try to get them exact. I know you can sand them down later with a Dremel, but just try to get it now, because we're actually going to put a real piece of PVC in there that's going to make it a cylinder. So the more exact, the better. Just from personal experience, I've learned that if you leave those frayed edges on when you glue them, it is really hard to get rid of them, and they will always stay there even if you round it off. So what I'm going to do is not really sand the edges, I'm just going to carefully trim them up just to get those frays away, so when I glue them together it is round when I round it off, and there will be no frays. Once you have finally glued it together, now it is time to sand down the edges the best you can, get it a nice clean shave, and once you round it off it should look a little better because you're not going to get it exactly perfect, but it should look a lot better than what it was before, and I do think that mine does. And make sure that the barrel's straight because it could have went haywire whenever you readjusted it, so like mine did, but I think I fixed it. Now that that is done, then you will round off all the edges, like down here on the handle, round off all those edges, make it like an oval, make it fit comfortably in your hand, make the barrel almost as close as you can get to it, a circle all the way around, all around there, make them all the way around, as best you can in there, and including just all around except for the cylinder, or excuse me, barrel, you'll make that almost as perfect a circle as you can. Everything else will almost be like an oval. To make the hammer, you can either make something as simple as the one holding in my hand, just a simple triangle piece, or as complex, if you want to call this complex, or with some sort of design like this. Whichever one you do, if you want the hammer to move, to make it look better with whatever you're doing, make it longer, like so. You don't have to make it move, but I would still recommend kind of making it longer to do the same steps almost as making it move, just to give it more support when you put it inside the gun, but make it longer so then it will fit inside the gun better, and then you can put a dowel rod through I'll show you more later. Now, once you have cut that out, you can round it off. I recommend you do that. So once you rounded it off, hold up the gun and then take the hammer and hold it right in the middle between that point, and best in the middle you can, you know, and then mark out on that spot and then carve that out with an X-Acto knife like you're cutting out a hole, like on the, if you watch the Kane video, like how we cut out a hole, almost like that, just on a lot smaller scale. So there's the mark, cut it out and fit it in. But make sure it has room to move. Once you put the hammer in, drill holes in the sides as seen there with the dowel rod through it. So drill holes and then drill a hole through the hammer itself, and then make the dowel rod glued in, and then you can move. To move on to the cylinder, take a PVC that's the same width. Mine was 2.5 or 1.5, excuse me, and I just put it in, or just any that looks decent to you. So I put it in, and it fits pretty good, and you have to slide it in carefully. Make sure it's even on both sides, even though that doesn't look very even. Make sure you slide it in carefully, because it could rip. Take your PVC that you used and put it on scrap Ava foam and make 2 end caps that will be able to be slid inside to the ends so it's closed up. If you are having trouble gluing the end caps in, this top one or the first one is actually really easy. You just slide it in really carefully, and you can use your finger in on the other side, make it even. But the second one could be a little tricky if you don't know what you're doing. But it's actually really not that hard. You would just take it and slowly inch it in, just like you're putting it in halfway, but then turn it like you're flipping a coin almost, and then it slides in right around the edge. Might take a couple tries, but once they look similar, then you can glue them both in. This is an optional step, but I think it does add some touch to the gun. Before you put the cylinder back in, I drew circles representing areas for shells inside of the cylinder. Then once I put them back in, any circles that were still showing, which was only 2, I cut out circles of Ava foam, or excuse me, craft foam, and I slowly cut away at them until they still fit on the gun, such like shown. Like the one's bigger than the other because that's the one that just fit. So I made those, and I'm going to paint those separately a gold color and then glue them on in the end. To make the trigger guard, I actually didn't mess up on this. I just put the wrong part. That top part shouldn't be there. You might as well just cut that off. I took it from the design earlier that I made, but it's really simple. It's like a U shape. Like I said, cut the top off. I'm going to realize that later in the video, but no big deal. So then when you make a trigger, it's kind of like the simple part of the hammer. You just make a triangle-like piece, but then you sand it down to make it really thin. And if you do want to make this move, it's the same part as the hammer. Make it taller on the top, so when you carve a hole into the gun, you can put a dowel rod through and make it move. This was that U shape that I was talking about. These will also be drawn on with markers where you want them on the gun, like so. And then you also cut little holes and squeeze them in just for more support as well. Whichever way you want, it doesn't really matter. So once you figure that out, just cut the holes, and then same thing with the trigger. Drill the trigger hole and put a dowel rod through if you want. And then glue it. Now that the trigger has been has enough room to move and has an open hole, those other 2 holes for the trigger guard can now be cut open, and you can now put the glue in the trigger guard and the glue in the dowel rod for the trigger and make it move. So there it is, the trigger guard and trigger both glued in, the dowel rod's there. The trigger does work as shown here. You just push it back and pull, push it back and pull. So the next thing would be, if you want to paint it, you could either go make the handle brown, like down here, make it all brown, make it like a wooden handle, or you could just go all silver and make it all metal. You could put some kind of design on it, but I really didn't know what design to do, so I just left it blank. That's up to you, it's all personal preference, but I'm going to paint it silver, and then, like I said at the end, I'm going to glue the gold shells on. Alright everybody, there it is, the final product of the Revolver. It's been fun making this. It was actually really interesting. High step up from my flintlock that I made last year for Arno. I really like how the things move. I think that's one of the best things I've made in a while. I really like it. The previous cosplay videos will be in the description. That would be the brass knuckles and the cane. Go check those out. Like, share video, like and share this video if you liked it. And I'll see you again next time on the next Twins of Destruction cosplay video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, thanks guys. Yes, keep up to date on our Twitter and Instagram, especially with E3 coming up, because I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited to bring you guys all the news straight from the Twins of Destruction, me and my brother. It's going to be awesome with Fallout, with Doom, with Assassin's Creed, with Battlefront, all these exciting games. Keep up to date with us. We will try to post on Instagram, but we're going to keep updated on Twitter. Most definitely keep updated, guys. Thanks again so much.